Hello, welcome to Perspectives of a Dom and Sub. I'm Kez, a mistress.
And I'm Nami, a brat.
And last week we kind of discussed collars, the significance of collars, and all that entails.
And then this week is going to be the week that we talk about contracts. What is a contract? Everything that goes into contracts and the overall importance of contracts.
Got a lot of information to talk about, a lot of things in store today. But first, we're going to show you what we're smoking on. I've got my Daily High Club Poison Apple Pie Bubbler. And I have some bud already packed in here. I have a combination of Durban Poison and Sour Space Candy Hemp. And I also threw some, where is it at? It's not here, but some Pineapple Express Terpsilate. So delicious. What about you?
So I had an edible because I'm trying out recipes for my baking stuff. So I had an edible earlier, but I'm also smoking on punch. It's like punch cookie smalls. It's like a hybrid, but it's an indica. It's very pretty. It's like very. It's just like what's it? There we go.
Oh, yes. Yes. That is good.
So that's what I'm smoking on, and I'm gonna have some plain Jane CBD if I feel like I'm getting too much.
Let me just say, weed is like the sexiest looking thing ever.
Uh-huh. I agree, but it's. So you ready? Also, I'm also smoking in a Daily High Club piece.
All right. Cheers.
That was a nice. Yeah.
This is actually great. So, next up, we will be talking about our DS updates. Stay tuned. Session on Thursday, but he was pretty exhausted from work. And we don't like to have session when we're otherwise mentally occupied because we want at least 80% of our mental faculties to be there. And so we just had porch time. And during our porch time, we kind of talked about a lot of things because I had him journal. I always have him journal for porch time, and it could be like one of I think 8 things, which I'll kind of like discuss when I go over my contract. Hint. So he chose to journal on his role as a submissive, and he took it like quite literally when I was like coming from what has been going good, what has been going bad, what would you like to incorporate more? Is there anything that I can do as your sub to make your experience a lot better? And so we talked about that. We talked about a variety of other things, but then we did get to a renegotiation, more so a review of the contract, which was really, really nice to have. This is kind of like the 3-month point.
Oh yeah, you guys are supposed to be doing his collar, right?
Yes, on the 14th,
Oh, nice.
we'll be getting his next color, which is. Hold on. I tell him all the time, like, if I don't write things down, I'm going to forget it. And it's this case. The next color is red.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's 3 months.
Good.
What about you? Any updates?
Actually, I don't have any updates. We gave ourselves pretty much a break. I've been going through it mentally myself. So we gave any training or any training we put to a halt until I got my mental health better. I am feeling 20% better, not 100%, but that's what we were focusing on. So it's been purely vanilla, boyfriend and girlfriend, him trying to get me better to a better spot in our life. Well, it's a better spot in my life. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's been going on. I've just been trying to get my mental health back to where it was. So
And
yeah.
I love that you are able to, when you are in that kind of headspace, that you are able to push pause and have that not be a big deal.
Yeah.
And which is a transition to like red flags about
Mm-hmm.
some relationships. If you are having session when you're intoxicated or just not in the right frame of mind, it's not a good
No.
relationship to be in.
No, it's not. You have to be very clear, your brain has to be fully, at least full, like you said, you're like at least 80% in what you're doing at that moment. So yeah.
Yes. One more update that I just thought about.
Uh-huh.
We kind of like reviewed our yes, no, and maybe chart, and even like it's been 3 months and so much has changed. I'm realizing on what we say yes to or what we thought we said yes to or maybe to, and realizing like, oh, we actually want to do more of that. So we talked more about like incorporating more things, and we're gonna start anal training soon.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. I like anal training. Anal training is very fun. It's very fun especially when you get to a new level and you're just like, wow.
I actually just ordered a plug set of 3.
Oh.
I would have preferred like 4 or 5, but
And I came with 4, I think. They both did. Both I have a black one and a purple one. I think they both came with 4. Maybe I'll send the link. I can send you those links too. I should still have it.
yeah, we can. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. And
Yes,
then
that's on its way, and I'm excited to incorporate more of that. And just more, we're gonna start some 24/7 training.
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so not like full 2-3 days, but just 1 day for now.
Mm-hmm.
Going through what the protocol of that would look like, especially if the public is involved.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. I'm so happy.
And next, we're going to get into the topic of the week, which is contracts.
Okay. Let me pack another bowl.
Ooh, yes. Hopefully this one doesn't ooh, what happened there? My video and audio did not sync up there.
Oh.
All right. I'm ready.
Right.
Cheers.
Contracts. Oh.
Contracts. This is a hefty one.
Yeah. What is a contract?
A contract is basically just an agreement, a written agreement of the relationship between dom and sub, master slave, bottom top. Just documents the nuances of the power exchange relationship.
Yeah, good thing is just which is exactly what she said. It's just an agreement, a written agreement between the power dynamic. And what is its importance? Its importance is for multiple things. It allows both parties to understand what is okay in the relationship. Like it lays it out. There should be nothing to surprise to both of you, because it should be, you guys should have listed every single thing that you are okay with in that document. So nothing is, know, gone awry, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know you didn't like that. It should have been said in the contract. And that's an importance, because like we said, sessions get intense, things happen, but you want to make sure that everything that's happening in the scene is consented to. And this is the first form of consent, is with that contract.
Absolutely. And no one can just add things willy-nilly. You
Uh-huh.
should have a time that you talk about any updates or things that you want to change, and not just like, I want this, we're gonna do this now.
Yeah.
Not talk about it.
You have to talk about it. You have to make sure everyone understands what's going on, what that entails, whatever they want or you want. Everyone should know what's all of it about. And so that's why it's so important. it's just, it's everything that goes inside. It's your hard limits, your soft limits, what punishments will be. It's everything. And
Behavior.
uh-huh. Your roles, what kind of submissive, what kind of dominant. It's it's, if it's public, if it's 24/7, if it's just bedroom, it's how long it's gonna be. It's
Expectations of the submissive, expectations
uh-huh.
of the dominant.
Yep. It's safe words.
Yeah. You can even put in there like test results if you're getting tested and there's more than two people in that relationship, and safety, medical stuff, like if you have any medical issues that would like hinder your ability
epilepsy, if you guys are doing any sort of different play, if you're doing pain thresholds, if, because some people like hanging and stuff like that. There's everything that goes in your contract.
Suicidality is
Uh-huh.
to discuss, especially if you hit subspace pretty hard. If suicidality is a recurrent thing in your life, to like be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Back to that risk-aware consensual kink.
Yep. So
Types, so different types of contracts, different types of meanings of contracts. What are they?
I think the subtypes for contracts are pretty much, if it's bedroom, if it's 24/7, because 24/7 you are talking about different stuff than would be in a just bedroom play, because you're talking about the outside the bedroom, inside it. What are they okay with to be done in public? What your dom expects of the sub in public. So I know some people have it that the dom always sits first and they sit after their dom, and they don't eat until the dom eat. Yeah. So that has to be said inside the contract. You have to understand like the routine of what's gonna happen outside and inside the bedroom. And that's the 24/7. And the bedroom is just like, how do you start a scene? How do you end a scene? So those are two different in 24/7 and bedroom. But I can't think of any other subtypes. I'm like,
I think for the most part, that's what it is. You could have like a combination of all of those things, and it's the totality of the agreement. When we enter 24/7, this is what it's going to be like. And when we're just doing like bedroom or playroom kind of thing, or dungeon play.
oh yeah, true.
Protocol around that.
Yeah. That usually, I feel like, well, I guess it'll be both for like pretty much what goes inside of a contract. This one is like what you address your dom as when you see them. All that stuff goes into it. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that's the only two subtypes.
Depends on what those people, again, this theme, let me come back to it. Depends on the individuals in that relationship and what they think is important to highlight. Because there's like things that you can talk about that kind of naturally develops as you get to know each other, as your relationship develops, than like what like hard and fast rules that you would have in a contract, which is of course open to like change as your relationship goes. But there's things that you kind of like develop together and things that need to be in the contract.
Yeah. So how do we do this? Oh no, how do I do this? So how do you make up a contract?
How do we conceptualize our contracts and what do they look like? How does it look like within our BDS dynamic?
Yeah. So I actually don't have my contract, which is probably great, but it's upstate. So well so my contract was done almost 9 years ago. Wow. And what we did was sit down and we actually went to this site that helps you create a BDSM contract, and it's like a fill-in type of thing, and we did it from there just so we can, and then he printed it out, and then I amended it multiple times since then, so we just write in any extras because I just have blank pieces of paper in the back, and we just write in what extra after we do negotiations or stuff like that. But we did do ours through a website. I don't know if the website still exists anymore.
Yeah, 9 years
so long ago.
Yes.
But yeah.
How long from when you met to when you had a signed and dated contract?
So from we met as a vanilla relationship, so it was like 6 months after that we started talking about BDSM. It was like a year and a half, yeah. We started talking about BDSM. So then we had a contract made like a week and a half afterwards, because we wanted to both he really wanted to research everything that he wanted and everything that he thinks he would like and as a dom, and then I gave him time to do that, so it took like a week and a half for us to fully date and sign, since wanting to be in a BDSM relationship. So yeah.
Okay.
Because
that kind of makes a point into how long from when you meet someone to when you should have a signed and dated contract.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of recommended that you don't come out of the gate with that you communicate and get to know one another as individuals and talk about what kind of sub or dom you are and what kind of relationship that you would ideally want, what that would look like if you both came together, and talked about how writing that down into something tangible would be like.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of weeks. Some people just right out of the gate an hour later.
Yeah, I don't see an hour later. You have to put in some thought behind it, because I feel like in an hour you can't think about all the things that you will or will not be willing to do in a BDSM relationship. So you need some time to really write it down for yourself first. Be like, okay, maybe this, maybe that, and you come to the table with everything that you want and that you're willing to do, your hard limits, your soft limits, your expectations of the relationship. Where do you want the relationship to move to in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and all that? I don't see you can't, there's no possible way you can think about all that in an hour.
Exactly. Advice I did I followed it, but I didn't take as much time as I should have.
Mm-hmm.
but I think that it turned out well because I had already had so much written down over my experiences with other subs of what ideally I would like a contract to look like and my personal expectations of the dom, and giving that to him in a way that let's look at this, let's amend it to fit us. And that was like a week or two after we met.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I was a week and a half. It was a week. I feel like that's a good enough. I feel like that's good enough time. And of course, you're going to continuously, like, amend. You're going to continuously change the contract. The contract is, even though it's set in stone in that moment, you can change it anytime. Anytime you want to revoke or add consent to anything, you can. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can. um. So do you? Can we see your contract? Okay.
Yes. So let me pull this bad boy up. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna have I'm gonna show this one because it's an incomplete in terms of like writing
Writing.
things out. It was typed first and then printed and then filled in because we had two different sections to this. So the first section was kind of like expectations, general behavior, what would be required in our relationship, and then an agreement section where we kind of like wrote out things, and you'll kind of see it. Hold on. Documents. So we have both a relationship agreement and a training manual, which is
Oh, okay.
yes. I'm just gonna
Did
show.
you come up with it? Did you write the whole thing yourself?
Yes, but we discussed
Mm-hmm.
all of it.
Nice.
I kind of took inspiration from a ton of different contracts. Like if you do a quick Google search of BDSM contracts PDF, there's like a bunch of them, and really taking what's gonna fit you and what's gonna fit your relationship.
Yeah.
And even if you're using a contract that you've used before, revising that and making that fit your relationship, and that's important. Okay, let me share my screen. Got it. Can we see this?
I can.
Sweet. I mean, I look all pretty and shit. All right. So, like, we kind of separated about what the expectations of the submissive was, him, um, the duty of the dominant. Why is there an 8 there? The rules when it comes to training, orgasm control, punishment, because orgasm control is such an integral part of our relationship.
Yeah.
Um, Duties of servitude, he is a service submissive. Um, Drugs and alcohol, which I thought was like the most important part to have in a contract. So, like, the use of drugs and alcohol during session is highly discouraged, and should it occur, playing during session will not commence. Can limit our ability to think logically, make informed or consensual decisions, and enter the appropriate mental space. And should like the situation call for it, like high anxiety or nerves, then like me, I would personally allow like a limit of one moderately alcoholic drink or like 3 hits of cannabis.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which I think is acceptable.
Yeah.
Conduct, like in general and in public, um, and private. And then that's kind of when we get into agreement type things, which is aftercare. What does that look like for him?
Oh, so you had like 1% comfort. Yeah, praise check and comfort. No, that's a really good.
Different ones, and like really writing that out. So having a place to write out the boundaries of the relationship, hard and soft limits are boundaries, what's acceptable, what's not. So I kind of put in a boundary of no multiple text messages because I hate it when people send me something and like I'm so busy I can't respond and they like what are you doing? Why didn't you like respond to my text message? Question mark. And it comes like 4 or 5 and I absolutely hate that, so I had to put that as a boundary. And he had his boundaries as well, and then we talked about what our individual hard and soft limits were. The structure of the relationship. So like what phase are we in? We're in training, or are we in initiation and in induction? If I think that what you have, we can go straight into that transition without training. And obviously we are in training. What the safe word is and the safe sign, we wrote that in there in our actual contract, which is here. What are the roles or the potential roles? So just dom and sub, is it a romantic partnership? Are we dating? Is it a friendship? And like any and all that apply. Because I know people who enter DS relationships are not in romantic or sexual relationships or even friendships or dating. So really having that be clear. Because the context of our relationship was DS and then we moved into a romantic relationship. So we wanted that to be clear.
Okay.
And then what other external relationships will he or I have and what are off limits? So we are in a polyamorous relationship. And so we kind of say like those external relationships are allowed as long as we're communicating and we're okay with that. Because he has a girlfriend and I'm not really actively looking for anyone. I'm way too busy. But if the opportunity came, then we would communicate like, hey, I'm talking to someone else. These, what are our limits, our boundaries, talking about that. Communication methods, which are acceptable, text, phone call, email, social media, or other. How often will we meet with each other? And so in the context of our DS, it's once a week for training session, and that's on Thursdays. And how can like we request additional time or reschedule to meet for session or non-kink activities? And that's just like texting or a phone call. Just like making that communication more clear.
Gotcha.
And not like leaving anything to question. What methods of protection will be utilized? Male condoms, female condoms, dental dams, IUD, birth control, hysterectomy, vasectomy, spermicide, other. Really being clear about protection, because some people don't enjoy fluid bonding. When will porch time or renegotiation be scheduled? We have like once per week, so our porch time does include that journaling and really discussing the relationship. Activities or items will be like utilized during session, and that's kind of referencing the yes, no, maybe chart. Potential rewards and punishments. So obviously this gets adapted over time, but this is kind of like a good starting point of what, because I utilize a reward system and it works for him as well. So what are actually rewards and what are actually punishments, and what he's come up is great. I love it. And we've discovered a lot along the way too. And what are like the termination procedures? So if we decide that we no longer want to be in either a relationship together or in a DS dynamic with each other, what's that gonna look like? And STI HIV status, what's the date, what was the result, any sexual partners and what their status is.
And which is important because as you guys are poly, so it affects you guys, it affects the people that both of you guys are sleeping with. So yeah.
Yes. So, even if you're not in a poly relationship,
definitely get tested.
Still get tested. Sometimes you have more than one dom. Sometimes you can have more than one sub, whether that relationship is sexual or not. If you are exchanging any type of bodily fluid, you need to get tested. And then making it okay for external medical care. So in the case of a medical emergency during session, it is required and encouraged to call an ambulance or 911. We don't want to say like this happened, there's shame here. We don't want to call 911. We're making it clear that if something happens, we are calling 911. Yes. And then medical concerns that are important to consider, like we talked about earlier. If there's epilepsy or suicidality or asthma or what have you, anything that could impact.
Allergic to latex and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then with my signature as the submissive blank and as the dominant blank, I declare that I consent to the rules, boundaries, and conduct outlined and declared in this document. Should either party need to revise and negotiate what's been outlined and declared, an addendum form will be attached, and then we sign and date it. And then the end of it is the yes, no, maybe chart, which I don't know why it's not in here in this particular document, and I think because I made a separate document. Yes. See that?
That's really good. Oh, jeez.
You want to see the yes, no, maybe chart?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
I have like a regular yes, no, maybe chart and then a BDSM version because I use those with clients.
Ooh.
What's going on here? Share.
Oh.
Yes, there's a lot on this. And a lot of it is general terms, not specific. So like for like gender play, for instance, there's a lot that goes under that, but I just included the general term.
Yeah, gotcha.
Those individuals, what intensity and what subtype of whatever they want to enact, but just it goes from like alphabetical order, and then you can select yes, I would totally do this, no, not a chance, maybe I'm possibly interested. So like the no is kind of like that hard limit, the maybe is the soft limit, and yes, I want to do this or I have done this. I'm just going through all of them. We did this and attached it to the back
Of the contract. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so when we renegotiate, we go through this yes, no, maybe chart again as well. And nothing had changed with us. And there's a convenient glossary on the back of this if there's any like question about what these mean, like shrimping. I didn't know what that was. And then I went to the glossary and found it. And the glossary's back here.
That's so dope.
Shrimping with second toes.
Really?
Yeah.
With small penises.
That's what I thought too.
That makes sense. Sucking toes, that's didn't expect that. I would like to pop up too.
Oh yeah. And so that's also very useful to have.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really detailed one. That's a really good one. Like that's a really good. But yeah.
Some contracts are shorter lengths than that. That's not that specific, and some contracts are more specific than that.
I've seen online like there's 40 page contracts. I'm like, whew, that's a lot.
Which I actually don't recommend for clients who, especially if they're now starting, keep it like short and simple.
Yeah. keep it reasonable that you can get pretty much everything, but it doesn't have to be 40 pages long.
Mm,
Just like your, I feel like your a 10 to 11 page is a good amount. I like yours. That's mine's is 10 pages too, but it was from a website. But yeah, that's a really I like yours. I like how pretty it was. See, and like you can decorate it. You can make it decorative. Like I
mhm.
showed you, there's some that are leather binded and
Yes.
fancy. um,
Too much for me because I need that freedom to
yeah,
read.
redo it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure with having something that's leather. I feel like if you're in a long term, very committed, maybe for life,
Uh huh.
yes, relationship, that would be pretty fucking cool to have
Yeah.
and to have that.
I feel like that would be after like maybe their DS marriage or whatever they fig is their end goal. That would be like the present. Be like, oh, now our contract is leather binded, meaning it's forever. Now that would be cool. That would
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun.
Using the back, you need to renegotiate.
Yep. We just have extra pages in the back. We need to do anything different. Oh, so what's any other considerations when making a contract?
Um, make it in a way that you both can understand it. Because
Mm.
I have a problem of when I write very professionally
Super.
with flowery language, and because it gets into that space, that headspace.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have that, but making it easy to understand
Yeah.
for most people.
My considerations is pretty much make sure that before you sign the end of your contract, making sure that everything that's inside the contract fits both of your needs, submissives. Um, Speak up. Don't just agree to everything because you feel like that's what your dom wants you to do. You have to make sure that you w- consent to it. This is what you want to do, also. Yeah.
And one thing that we didn't touch on was legality. So
Oh
contracts are legal binding documents, but you can make it so if you so choose.
Yep.
Like,
Definitely can. You can get it notarized to be as a legal document. So if anything, but that's mostly just for safe. And I feel like this is. I feel like mostly it's. I feel like with this is like more professionally BDSM lives, where if something happens um like legal wise, if they find out, they can be of like a I can't speak to you, I can't speak, like if it's the cops or something, you can't speak to them because it's in the contract that you cannot speak out loud and it's been notarized, blah blah blah. It's also if anyone gets hurt and wants the uh-huh it's also if anyone gets hurt and then wants to sue legal action, you can say that this was a part of play that we both consented to, and they'll have their signature, have it notarized, and they can't sue you.
right? And if there's like, usually there's consequences within a legal binding BDSM contract. If something is broken, these are the consequences. And have that notarized and posted lawyer, that you kind of have to go by what you wrote in the contract.
Yep.
Versus having something that you created together that it's fluid and ever changing.
I feel like making it legally binding makes it so much more important to like negotiate, because if you no longer like something that you said yes to and you never negotiated and you don't like it anymore, it's hard to like prove that you didn't like it if you said that you liked it. So making it legal makes it very so much more important to negotiate, making sure that you are constantly consenting.
Really,
Uh-huh.
the beforehand.
Uh-huh.
Oh my, it's because lawyers aren't cheap.
Uh-huh. Mm. Oh,
Especially like if you maybe like if you're in a financial domination type of dynamic, that maybe that would be helpful.
yeah.
Anything binding BDSM contract, or I'm trying to think of different situations where that would be a good idea. Pro doms.
Yeah. Pro doms, yeah.
They regularly,
Yeah. Definitely.
especially like for people who continually come in, not just like one person who just like
Yeah. No, who comes once a time? They're talking about their regulars.
yeah.
So, mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. So going to answer some submitted questions. Yeah. Here's
The first question. And the first question is, what traits of a sub do you love the most in your personal opinion?
that is a difficult question because everyone's different and everyone has something unique to offer. I would guess like freedom of mind, to be honest. I don't want someone that's just, I'm gonna listen to everything that you say and that's how it's gonna be. No, I want you to tell me what you like and what you don't like, and how we can like be together rather than it's just my say at all times. That's like not fun, and that's not the purpose of it.
Oh, so you like brats.
Yes. But I also like having an individual within that partnership.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because then I just feel like 24/7 I'm a dog. That's not what I want.
I get that. It's good. It's true. Everyone is different. I feel like different doms do different things. You can like them each type of sub or dom differently.
And what traits do you like in a dom?
I like someone, because I'm a brat, I like someone who's not going to give up on my brattiness, and someone who understands what I need to submit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just need someone to understand what I need so I can submit to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Second question. How do I stop myself from developing feelings for my dom?
So I'm guessing this isn't a 24 relationship, and I can't really give you an answer to that. You can't really stop your feelings. I guess if you want something that's not in your relationship, you talk to it with your dom, because your feelings might be changing, their feelings might be changing. You guys might have to and if not, you guys might have to change it up to make it so you guys are always on the same page. I can't really tell you to stop feeling what you're feeling, because you can't control that. So if you're starting to feel something differently, then just talk to your dom. Talk to them, make sure they understand what you're feeling. Just always communicate.
And when it comes to like how I gave that example in my contract of
Mm-hmm.
discussing like what are the options for the relationship. If
Yeah.
it's stated that it's only a DS relationship, or it's a DS and a romantic relationship, or it's a DS romantic and sexual relationship, really like talking about that and what it could be. And if even if like you have cemented that this is only a DS relationship, to be open, like there should be an air of open communication in the relationship regardless. So you should feel safe enough to say, hey, things are kind of changing when it comes to my romantic and or sexual feelings towards you. And I'm wondering if we could like renegotiate or open up our relationship to be romantic. And second, like doing some reflection, why have your feelings changed? What about this person or things that you've been experiencing has changed your feelings towards them? And being open about that too.
Yep. All true. All true. So third question is, what should I use to tie up my submissive?
This is a great question. Almost anything. Literally. You can use almost anything to tie someone up. And it depends on like what aesthetic or what you're going for within that scene or play or session. You can have rope if you want to do like different types of rope bondage. There's like shibari. There's so many other art styles of rope. Scarves, silk scarves, cashmere, whatever type of scarves you can use, string, ties, handcuffs, actual like leather or Velcro cuffs. There's just so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So many things.
Yeah, anything. Just anything you feel will add the experience to the session. So yeah.
Things that you both like, because I know like some people don't like the feeling of cold, hard things.
Mm-hmm.
They love the feeling of rope, or some people love the feeling of silk. Whatever is your preference. Yeah. Even like chains. Some people get off on that too.
True.
Yeah. And then, is this our last question?
Yeah.
And our last question, what is the strangest punishment you've ever had?
The strangest punishment I've ever had? Oh, I know. The strangest punishment I ever had was with a dom from when I was first starting. And it would be that every time I did something wrong, I would have to I would have to call my mom and tell her pretty much that I love her. That was pretty much it. And it was just strange, it was weird. But I was just like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah. So yeah, that's the strangest thing. It was just weird. It was a strange time in my life. It was a very long time ago.
That's crazy. That's like so creative.
Yeah.
Like, what is that other person like getting off of about that being the punishment?
I have no idea. He was strange. Oh, I wish I still had contact with him, just to ask him.
Just asking those questions. Questions that need to be asked.
Pretty much.
This like punishment I've ever given out, it wasn't even like strange. It was like every time he fucked up, he had to like write on his stick like certain like messages that were derogatory and had to send it to me and like keep it on his dick for a couple of days so he could wash it off.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that was fun. It's not really like strange.
No, it's not strange. I feel like that's something I can see other doms doing. I feel like it's because it's yeah, I can see. I feel like that's not necessarily strange.
It's like the most intense, like psychological punishment I've ever like given out, because everything's been like impact play or humiliation or whatever like basic things are. But those were pretty.
Yeah. But you have to leave it there. You have to look at it.
Yep. And you don't shower. You can't like just wash it off. So there's that humiliation aspect, but not really strange. All right, so we're going to begin our closing. Yes. And
I read this part, right?
we will be answering some more questions next week, so be sure to look out on our Instagram pages for the question sticker and ask more questions. All right, I got my bud ready. Cheers. Oh yeah. I still have some.
Fourth episode of Perspective of a Dom and Sub. Thank you for tuning into our podcast.
Yes, it's been a pleasure talking about contracts. I love talking about contracts, friends, with clients, and my own damn relationship. It just like is the backbone and the foundation, second to like negotiation and communication, of like successful DS relationships. And it's been great answering your questions. And we will see you all next week for our next episode of Perspectives of the Dom and Sub. I don't know yet what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
So let's take a last hit and then get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.